What's up, everybody? Mark and I are back today. Today's the final day of the 2020 NFL draft, which means we have nothing to talk about from here until the NBA draft in June, I'm pretty sure. So this is it for now. But Mark and I wanted to take a chance to go through a little bit of the first 2 days to see what picks we can highlight, what picks were the best picks, who did the worst. But before we get into any of that, Mark, we have to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. So just go. Go ahead, Mark. It's all yours. Take center stage.
Interesting moves here. I've been team Howie Roseman for as long as I can remember. I have the same motto the Sixers had with trust the process, and just, Howie has a plan. Howie and Doug Peterson have a plan, I'm sure. The first round pick I don't hate, really. I know you're not high on it. I like Rigor, Jalen Reagor, whatever his name is, from TCU. I think he can be a playmaker. He has good speed and he played on the outside. The numbers won't show it because he had poor QB play his senior year. His junior year, he actually had a pretty good year. So I like it. I'm not gonna make any commitment. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be a stud. I'm not gonna say like he was the best sleeper pick in the wide receiver position until I see him play. But I think he can really come and produce for them. I think maybe if and I told you this, I texted you this, but so everyone can hear. I think maybe if he had a Joe Burrow or a Jalen Hurts or a Tua thrown to him, he might be in that top four conversation in terms of the wide receiver position in this class. But that's up for debate. So I don't hate the first round pick. And in the past 12 hours here, I've kind of come to not hate the second round pick. The Eagles really value the backup quarterback position. And Jalen Hurts, obviously, I don't think that goes without saying that's who it was. I think they really value the backup quarterback position. I don't know why they spent a pick so high on it. But you have to look at it logistically. They just signed Wentz to a 4-year extension for over $100 million. I don't think they would have done that if they didn't think he was their guy. He stayed healthy the whole year. He single-handedly dragged them to the playoffs. But then he got hurt in the first round, obviously. That cheap shot by Jadeveon Clowney, which wasn't his fault. But I guess the Eagles look at it as if they had a valid backup quarterback. No offense to Josh McCown. I love that he was able to come in and almost get him there. If they had a decent backup quarterback, they probably come in and they look at it like they win that game and move on in the playoffs. So, it's an odd pick, but I'm sure they have a plan. And then they drafted a linebacker in the third round, Davion Taylor. I really like him. He's a project linebacker. He's got great speed and good tackling. And the Eagles really don't value like the big mauler, run stopper type linebackers. So it's a good pick, good scheme fit for them. So.
Yeah, so a couple things on Philadelphia. Your other quarterbacks on the roster right now are Nate Sudfeld and Kyle Lauletta. So those are your two other quarterbacks besides Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. And you were not happy with this pick when we first heard that last night, Mark. You were there. You, Wagner, and Duff were not too happy about this one.
No, I was not. I was livid. I don't want to say I screamed at my TV when I heard Goodell say it, but I was
You might as well have been screaming at your TV.
I was just starstruck. I was like, huh? What? Oh my God. But, I'll trust, I see myself as not a stupid fan. You go on Eagles Twitter and Reddit right now and it's just having a meltdown, but we're not GMs. These guys get paid. This is what they do with all of their time. We do this as a free time type thing, but they do it as a full-time thing. So I'm sure they have something planned. But we'll see. That's all I can say about it is we'll see what happens.
You know that meme format where it's two guys grasping hands? It's Packers fans and Eagles fans right now. That's what it is.
Yeah, the Packers did the same thing. But for the Packers, it made more sense. And we'll probably get into that when we start talking about some surprises in the first round here. But for the Packers, it made more sense because Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old. So he's on his way out soon. I don't think they should have traded up to get him. I don't know that was necessary. But if for the Packers, it makes more sense. For the Eagles, Wentz is 27 and just about to reach the peak of his prime. So I don't know. I really don't.
This only makes sense to me if you have – because Jalen Hurts doesn't have to be a quarterback in the NFL. I think he'll refuse to play at any other position because he should be a quarterback in the NFL level. But this makes sense to me if you're planning on using him to have sub packages or stuff like that. You have other plans to use him. I think you'll see time on the field. I think he will play his rookie year. Not obviously as a starting quarterback, but I think he'll see plays. That's my take on that Philly. And Mark, I do have a video, we made ourselves a couple of days ago when we did the ranking the top 10 receivers in this draft class. Do you want to know where we put Jalen Reagor?
8. I think I put him at 8.
You put
7.
8. You put him
yeah.
at 8.
Yeah, I mean, because he's good. I'm surprised he went over like a guy like Higgins or Jefferson. Even they didn't take him, or even Laviska Shenault. But I think he's good, and I think like I said, if he had better quarterback play, he's probably in the top 4 conversation. He just didn't have that, so we'll see. But while we're streaming here,
just clarify one more time. You put him at 8, and he was the 4th receiver taken off the board.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
I had him ranked lower. I had him at 10.
Yeah, you had him as the 10th best. I guess he just fits better with the scheme. The Eagles have some big body receivers like Alshon Jeffrey if he comes back and is healthy. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who I predict will have a significant step up this year. So I guess they didn't want to take a guy like Jefferson who's 6'3", and they need some more speed and physicality. And Reagor brings that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens, Mark. It's going to be a very interesting situation in Philadelphia. But from now until the actual start of the season, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are going to have to cope with the first couple selections here by the Eagles. But let's start from the top, Mark.
Yeah.
What stands out to you as the best pick in the first round? Do you have any picks that really stand out to you as good picks, or?
The one that really stuck out to me, I think the first surprise was Arizona taking Simmons, or I should say Simmons falling to Arizona at 8. That's a great value for him. He probably should have gone 4 to the Giants, or the Giants should have traded out. But I think that's a great pick for them. It's not really something they needed significantly. They probably should have gone offensive tackle, but I think they got in the 3rd round, I think Josh Jones fell to them or something like that. And they were able to get value there. And he was a potential first-round talent anyway. So for Arizona to get Simmons at 8 is a great pick for me. I think Derek Brown to Carolina, who we both had mocked, it's a good scheme fit for them there. Tackles back-to-back later on. So I'm sorry, not back-to-back, but tackles all within the top 15, the top 4 all went. So I think Simmons is probably the best value pick. The biggest reach, I would have to say, would probably be AJ Terrell. I know you're a Clemson boy there. I don't think he's a first-round talent. I don't think he's the 3rd best corner in this draft.
Let me ask you about that. Let me cut you off there. What do you think about Damon Arnett then from Ohio State?
I was just going to get to him. Another big reach. I think he's a late second rounder, mid to late second rounder. I probably would have taken Trayvon Diggs, honestly, if I were the Raiders looking at corners, or Jeff Gladney, who I'm very high on, who fell to the Vikings anyway, and I had them taking him at 31 there. But yeah, I mean, the first I would say 15 picks were pretty predictable. We all thought they were going to go that way. The Giants took a tackle. It was either that or Simmons. Miami was going to take a tackle or a quarterback. The Chargers, I think, were for sure taking a quarterback. I think the top 15 was great, and then a bunch of trades started happening in the back 15, and some surprises too. So,
yeah, I mean, looking at what we had here, I think this is just about what we predicted early on. I mean, my last mock draft had Burrow, Chase Young, and Okudah as the first 4 picks, and that's exactly what happened. I did think the Giants would trade back, but it still ends up being Tua going to the Dolphins and Herbert going to the Chargers. That's pretty predictable. Derek Brown going to Carolina. That's why I had in my mock. The first one that kind of threw it off is Simmons going to the Cardinals, but I think that's a great value pick. I think teams got worried because they don't know where he plays, linebacker or safety per se, which I think is just stupid. Like, look, just play him at linebacker. I watched this guy play. Play him at linebacker. Just stop asking questions. He's 6'4", 245 or something like that. Just play him at linebacker. You just get over it. So I think Simmons at 8 kind of threw it off a little bit, but I didn't think he would fall. I did expect him to be the guy who would fall in this draft just because of some questions about his positioning. CJ Henderson goes at 9, which is actually where I had him going my mock draft, but to Atlanta, not to Jacksonville. So that's fairly predictable. Jedrick Wills at 10, Mekhi Becton 11. So those are 2 teams we thought were going to take tackles. The Raiders do go with the receiver, but it's Henry Ruggs, and he becomes the first receiver taken in the draft. What do you think about that, Mark? What do you think about Ruggs going first among this great receiving class?
Yeah, I thought Ruggs was going to go first in my latest mock. I thought the Jets were going to go Ruggs, but then tackles started coming off the board, so they went Mekhi Becton. I think the Raiders just wanted speed. That's what a lot of teams are looking at. The Chiefs, they have a winning formula, which is just to load your offense and even your defense with just speedy guys, and then the rest will come through. So not a big surprise to see Ruggs get taken first. It was a bigger surprise later down to see Denver take Jerry Jeudy before CeeDee Lamb, who I have to hate now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
I was looking forward to rooting for him in the NFL, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I can't. I was I thought he was going to be in Midnight Green. They didn't make it happen. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think Ruggs is solid. I don't know that. I think he's a little bit of a risk because I don't know that if wide receivers started to fall past, like let's say the Raiders took a corner at 12, I don't know that Ruggs would have gone first to Denver or even or if Dallas would have taken him. So I guess they just had their eyes set on the speed factor.
Yeah, I would say Ruggs is probably a huge risk compared to a guy like CeeDee Lamb or even a guy like Justin Jefferson. I feel much more secure about.
Right.
This is what Oakland does, though. Not Oakland anymore, Las Vegas. This is what they do. They make these risky plays for guys who are flashy. They look big time players, and they trade up and sometimes take guys too high. Like they did with Damon Arnett. We've done it with Henry Ruggs here. But like I said, you and I both thought he was going to be the first receiver taken, not necessarily because of the skill, but just because that's the way the NFL is trending, like the fast guys, like the speed guys.
Right.
So he did end up being the first receiver taken in the draft. And Tampa Bay makes a good one with Tristan, makes a good pick with Tristan Wirfs. The 49ers take Javon Kinlaw, trying to replace DeForest Buckner. Broncos get Jerry Jeudy to pair with Courtland Sutton. The Falcons, I agree, they do reach for A.J. Terrell. Dallas loads up the receiver position with CeeDee Lamb now, which you have to deal with twice a year. But it's going to be nothing because you got Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. All those guys are very good. Yeah. I think Lamb actually might be better than Amari Cooper in the long run. He's that good of a player, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Dallas is loaded on offense now. The Eagles pick is in, so I'm sweating. I just don't. For Dallas, I understand why you do it, but at the same time, I don't because you already had a good receiving core, and you probably needed help elsewhere. They did get Trayvon Diggs in round 2, but who I think is a very good corner. But I don't know why you pick CeeDee Lamb. I mean, like I said, I do because he's the best player available, obviously. But I don't understand why it's not a position you needed. But I guess Mike McCarthy wanted to load up. So
yeah, I think it's. Oh, you got Kevon Wallace.
Oh, really?
Did you mock that?
It didn't load for me. No.
You mocked that one of your early picks, didn't you?
I did. Yeah,
I think you did.
I'm okay with that. He's he'll probably play that Malcolm Jenkins role, where they dropped him down into the like a sub linebacker type role.
That's a good pick for you. I'm shocked Tanner Muse went before Kevon Wallace, but
yeah.
Oakland picked Tanner Muse though, so it's not shocking. They took Tanner Muse, they took a guard from Clemson, and they took Henry Ruggs. They've taken like so many Alabama and Clemson players. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think they said they have like 10 players now from that national championship game last year. So they've gone all in on that. They've gone all in with those guys. But going back to the first round of the draft, there are a couple of teams I thought really blew it. Las Vegas being one of them because they took Ruggs and they took Damon Arnett. So I feel like that was an opportunity to get better, and they really blew it. I think Miami blew it as well, honestly, because I like Tua. I like Tua at 5. I like Tua because I think he is the best quarterback in this draft. And even if he has injury history and stuff like that, I think he's still going to get better. You take Austin Jackson in the middle of the first round, and Austin Jackson is the 5th best tackle in this class. And he's a project. He's a long-term project, so he's got issues. You take the 5th best tackle in the class over the best running back, the best linebacker. Well, the best linebacker besides Isaiah Simmons. The best. What else? The best safeties. You could have picked Kenneth Murray with that spot. You could have taken Patrick Queen. You taken Xavier McKinney. Where were they? I'm trying to figure out where the pick was. They could have taken Kevon Chason with that pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just Justin Jefferson was there too. So it's like they got all these guys you could take, and you go with the project offensive tackle. And then later on in the draft, even you don't take Jeff Gladney down at 30. You take a cornerback from Auburn instead. So I'm not going to say his name because I can't pronounce it. But
Yeah, no, I don't get their draft at all. Austin Jackson is an okay pick to me. A little bit of a reach. They probably could have waited on him, especially because no tackles went again until Isaiah Wilson went to Tennessee at 29, and Miami actually traded back with Green Bay at 26. So they could have grabbed him there anyway. But I would have taken a wide receiver. I would have taken the running back. We mentioned, I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the first one to go, but I think that's just because of scheme fit. I think DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor are probably the two best overall in this class. So I don't know why they didn't go running back there. If they were going to go corner, they should have gone Jeff Gladney later on, like you said. So I think Miami had a chance to get some real good playmakers here with 3 first-round picks, and they blew it. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I really thought they could have loaded up, but they didn't. You talked about Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. I want to ask you about another running back. How about J.K. Dobbins falling to the second round and going 23rd overall in the second round?
Yeah, to Baltimore.
To Baltimore, no less.
Yeah, they rushed over 5 yards a carry last season. They'll definitely get more than that now. That's a tandem to be scared of between Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. I don't know how he fell that far. I'm sure Baltimore probably could have picked someone else, and we're looking at other people. They need help elsewhere. But when Dobbins falls, same thing with what happened with Dallas and CeeDee Lamb. When your best player on your board is there, you just got to take him. I think he might not get as much playing time as he deserves, but I think he's going to be a great player for them, no doubt.
And then we have some totals from last year. Lamar Jackson finished with 1,200 yards. Mark Ingram finished with just over 1,000. Gus Edwards finished with 700. And Justice Hill, who they drafted last year, finished with 225. So they've got like 5 guys who are really good runners who can really run the football right now. And the issue with me is Justice Hill. I like Justice Hill a lot, who they took last year. I like him a lot. Now you've kind of loaded that up. Mark Ingram, they have an out in his contract after this coming season, and his deal ends after 2 years. So for me, this is a long-term pick. He's not going to be the starter immediately, but I think in 2 years when Mark Ingram leaves, I think he'll take over as the starter. At least that's what I think they're planning on doing.
Yeah, I would assume that's the plan. My computer is froze. But, with like you mentioned, Mark Ingram's out in his contract after this year or the next year. So they'll probably get rid of him. But when you're a team like that can afford to plan for the future because you have pieces to win now anyway, you could start planning for the future ahead of time with your high draft picks. So Baltimore definitely got a steal there.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's one of the teams that's drafted the best, actually, in my opinion, even though they've kind of doubled up on some spots. But they got your guy, Devin Duvernay, in the 3rd round. I know you like him a lot.
Yeah, that's a shame. I thought Duvernay was going to fall to the 4th round just because guys don't like his size. He's built more like a running back that plays wide receiver. But they liked him because of his speed. So, again, Baltimore's another team that's just building fast. They're having a good draft. Minnesota's having a good draft. Minnesota has 13 picks today.
Minnesota's done really well. I realized I'm writing an article on the 5 teams that have improved the best through the draft, and I already picked all 5 of them. What I'm going to do just based on what they did early on. But Minnesota is one of them, and I realized I have to write something in the article about every pick they make. Dang it! That's so much work. Okay, but I did want to talk to you about one other thing. Yeah. There was a bet we almost made, but didn't make off camera. So you had Donovan Peoples-Jones going the final pick, I think, of the 2nd round in your final mock draft. You did a 3-rounder. You had him going the final pick of the 2nd round. I was going to bet you money that he didn't go in the first 2 rounds, and you said no because you thought it was close between going to round 2 and round 3. I then didn't man up and bet you money on the 3rd round, which is what I should have done.
Because
he is still on the board here, right?
Yeah, he is still on the board. Gabriel Davis actually just went to Buffalo at a UCF there as the latest wide receiver taken. So hopefully, I'm hoping he goes soon. Seattle's on the clock coming up. They could take a wide receiver. I don't think Minnesota's going to take another one. They have 2 picks coming up. Yeah, he could fall. If he falls to the Eagles, I'd want the Eagles to get him just because I like him so much. I am surprised he didn't go. Especially the way wide receivers were coming off the board 2 and 3 last night. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think he's a playmaker.
He is the 6th best receiver on the board according to ESPN.
Man,
behind Antonio Gandy-Golden from Liberty, who I really like, KJ Hill from Ohio State, who's really just an athlete who really has to develop as a receiver. Colin Johnson from Texas, Joe Reed from Virginia, and oh boy, Kalijah Lipscomb. I don't know. I say Lipscomb. That's just his last name from, I think it's Vanderbilt. So, and then it's Donovan Peoples-Jones. So
That's
he's pretty far down there.
That's a shame. I'm surprised. Another guy who I really like, who I think is underrated, is Isaiah Hodgins. I think he's Oregon State. He's a catch machine. He had the lowest drop rate of any wide receiver in football last year at the college level. There's some concerns with, he's more of a big body jump ball guy, but those guys have already started to go. So I'm surprised no one is picking him. But speaking of big body jump balls, I want to backtrack a little bit and and get your opinion on your division rivals getting your boy out of Clemson there. T. Higgins to the Bengals with the first pick in the second round.
Mark, Baltimore has done everything I wanted Pittsburgh to do. Baltimore has done everything right, and it makes me so mad.
Yeah.
The Ravens have done I love what the Ravens have done. I hate saying it, but like I said, Baltimore's one of the teams I think improved the most through the draft. Really has drafted the best. Didn't move at all at the 28th overall pick and still got Patrick Queen because of Seattle making some weird pick. Seattle reaching again for another player. Then they get J.K. Dobbins, so they load up at the running back spot. Justin Madubuike in the third round. That's a great defensive tackle guy who can build. I think he's also a guy you're going to have for the future. He might not start right away, but he'll probably start in 2 or 3 years. Duvernay in the third later. Then Blake Harrison and the interior linebacker is really good against the run. So now they've got 2 good inside linebackers, and they go offensive tackle in their final pick in the third round. They have – oh, wait, you were talking about Cincinnati, but I was talking about Baltimore. But, well, I'm going to try. But Cincinnati is also one of the teams I think has improved the best most in this draft. I think it's Baltimore and Cincinnati are 2 of the top 5 teams in terms of what they've done this draft, which really not very good for Pittsburgh considering we haven't done a lot either. But, Joe Burrow automatically a great improvement. T. Higgins then at 33rd overall is a steal because I think he's the 5th best receiver in the draft, maybe even 4th best. Logan Wilson in the 3rd round, that's an inside linebacker. Was really good in coverage, was exactly what they needed because they had Nick Vigil running the inside last year and couldn't cover anybody. And they get an outside linebacker that's going to be a great special teams player and contributor right away. And Akeem Davis-Gaither from Appalachian State in the first pick of the 4th round. So they've done really well picking at the top of every round. I'm telling you, T. Higgins, his comparison that Lance Sterling came up with from NFL Network was A.J. Green.
Yeah.
And now you're putting him on a team with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and John Ross, who was having a good year last year before he got hurt. So now you have a stacked receiving group for Joe Burrow to throw to, and you already have Joe Mixon in the backfield. And you get Jonah Williams back because he didn't play a snap last year. He was your first-round pick last year. So, to me, the Bengals have gotten so much better this offseason and in the draft. It's worrying. It's frightening right now for me. I'm not liking it too much, Mark. I'm not liking it.
Yeah, no, it feels like every team, except for the Philadelphia teams, are having phenomenal drafts so far. The Steelers got Chase Claypool, who I like. Maybe was a little bit of a reach at 49, but wide receivers were starting to come off the board, so they probably just wanted to get the best one available. Alex Highsmith I really like him a lot. I think he's very underrated. He's kind of like a raw prospect, like we talked about. And then today they got Anthony McFarland, who's kind of like a Darren Sproles type running back, short but has good speed and good cutting ability. So
he's very productive at Boston College too. He's got the numbers from college. Oh, no, sorry, McFarland from Maryland. He was very good. He was very good at Maryland. I've got a friend who's a Baltimore Ravens fan who's from Maryland who actually was texting me after the pick. He's like, I can't believe you guys just did that because he wanted him to fall to Baltimore again, but it's worked out. I mean, I don't Pittsburgh's done so far this draft. I really don't because it's the most predictable Pittsburgh thing to do. You have 2 positions that you're always good at. You're always good at receivers and you're always good at linebackers. So what do you do with the first 2 picks you have in the draft? You draft a receiver and you draft a linebacker, which are arguably your 2 most stacked positions on your team right now. So instead of going interior offensive line, which they could have, instead of going, I don't know, for a bigger position of need, they go, instead of going running back even for crying out loud in the second round, you would go with receiver and you go outside linebacker. So I do have issues with how they've drafted so far. I do think we should give the players a chance to play. I think playing alongside Ben Roethlisberger will do wonders for Chase Claypool. I think he'll love it, but at the same point, I don't even know if this helps them win now at this point because they really need to. They're in win now mode. I don't know if the decisions they made today and yesterday really helped them win now.
Yeah, I almost thought they were going to pick Jalen Hurts. At I think they had picked 49 or 50 in the second round.
Yeah, 49.
49. And I thought they were going to pick a quarterback just because Ben is on his way out soon. That's the reality of the situation. And then Mason Rudolph and Hodges didn't necessarily get it done last year. They were a fringe playoff team, sure, but I don't know if that's kind of their ceiling for Rudolph and Hodges is to be more of a game manager and take them to the wild card every year, especially with the way the division is stacking up.
Their ceiling's probably practice squad quarterbacks. They shouldn't even be on the roster.
You really don't.
After what I
You
saw
really
last
don't
year.
like them. So what did I want to talk about? Yeah, just the teams that have improved the most. Obviously, Minnesota is drafting very well. They're on the clock right now. Dallas is drafting very well. I think I'm just looking through my charts here. I think Detroit is drafting very well. Kind of an underrated team there. They got a corner and then a very good. They got who'd they get round two? They got Jonathan Taylor, right?
Then they got Acquar in the third.
Yeah. So I mean they're having a great draft. I think. The Chargers. Go ahead.
Let's take a minute to pause on Detroit for a second. Let's look at who they picked because I like Detroit too. I have them as my fifth best improved team for the draft at the moment. They got Okuda, who's arguably the best corner in the draft at third overall. They got DeAndre Swift in the second round. And they got Julian Acquara in the third round. He could be a starter at some point in the season for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go Jonah Jackson, who's a guard, and Logan Sternberg, who's a guard in the third and fourth. With your last pick in the third round, and then your first pick in the fourth round. So you've taken back-to-back guards. You're fixing the offensive line that got Matt Stafford beat up last year. So I think they've really done a good job improving offensively. But you had other teams you want to talk about too?
Yeah, the Colts. I think are doing pretty decently. They also were a surprise team to take a running back. They took Michael Pittman in round two, and then they also were able to snag Jonathan Taylor, who I think are two great players that can come in and play right away. I don't know what this means for Marlon Mack. I'm sure he's kind of in the Carson Wentz situation where you have a player that just balled out, and then you draft potentially their replacement. So I don't really get that pick there, but it's a good pick nonetheless. And they just got Jacob Eason not too long ago to be, I guess, their quarterback of the future. They're looking at him as because they missed out on Jordan Love, who I think they were high on. But maybe not top 5 improved teams that the Colts are, but I think they're drafting well so far.
Yeah, I think the Colts are drafting well. I think taking Eason at this point is a safe pick for them because he's a guy with high upside. So if he does work out, you can start him. And if he doesn't work out, he's just a fourth round pick. No one really cares. I mean, the fourth round's where you get back at quarterbacks usually anyways. So if he doesn't work out, then you move on from him in 4 years and you're fine. It doesn't hurt you long term. So to me, this is actually probably a really good move for the Colts because instead of moving up and trading up to get a guy like Love, who's potentially a flawed prospect, you can just wait and take a similar guy in Eason, honestly, who has his own issues, and potentially develop him into starting quarterback. So I do think the Colts have done well waiting for that. I think Jake Fromm's still on the board, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think he's better. I had Fromm above Jacob Eason, but I guess the Colts didn't. If Fromm could go to the Steelers, they're coming up here at 135.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't say that.
He could go to. I'm just scrolling through my board now. If the Eagles could take another quarterback, because apparently we're QB developers for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't.
That was now.
Yeah. He could go to. New England picks at 159 at the top of the 5th round. If he falls that far, I don't think New England has taken a quarterback yet. So, I
don't think they will. They just don't. They don't strike me as a team that actually cares about winning this year or about trying to fix the quarterback spot right now.
If they tank for Trevor Lawrence, that's going to be a scary 2021 season.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a world where Trevor Lawrence is the starter for the New England Patriots, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Minnesota made a very good. Go ahead.
What's up?
No, I was going to say Minnesota made a very good pick a little while ago. They got Troy Dye from Oregon at linebacker, who I really liked. I thought he was one of the better linebackers in this draft class. So I think he's a very good pick for them.
Yeah, I wanted the Eagles should have taken him at 3. They just picked Troy Dye. Ugh. Whatever.
And the Seahawks go tight end again. The Seahawks have so many tight ends on the roster now. But
Seahawks and the Bears, and then the Patriots drafted 2 tight ends yesterday too. So,
well, they actually needed tight ends though, because they didn't have one. Like Matt
Yeah,
Cross
that-
is their best tight end or something like that.
that's true. I don't think is Thaddeus Moss still on the board? Probably. I don't think he's.
Yeah, I haven't heard him go yet. I think he's still there. There's
Yeah,
still a
he's
lot of
still
tight
on-
ends on the board.
Yeah, he's still on the board. We'll see where he goes. But yeah, back to the Eagles. I don't, I'm not going to pretend to know. I see all over Eagles Twitter and Reddit. It's kind of just like, oh, look at the bright side and stuff like this. I'm not looking left or right here. I'm just looking straight down and waiting for September to roll around to see what they're going to do. A lot of people are like, oh, he's probably just trade bait. Like, we're going to trade him to I've seen the Cowboys or the Patriots. And I'm like, if that was the case, they probably would have just traded the pick.
Yeah, this isn't the NBA. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I think people are just panicking and trying to get scrape the bottom of the barrel for excuses. But we'll see. That's all I can say with what the Eagles are doing. I like the Wallace pick a lot. I think that's going to play well for them. But Eagles are coming up here again in about 10 picks at 145 and 146 back to back. So
yeah, Pittsburgh's coming up here at 135. I'm looking forward to that because I just need something to hold on to today. But the draft with Pittsburgh is always a ride. Like some days I'm very happy with it. Some days I'm just like I don't even want to be here. Like honestly, with the way the first round was going, I was so happy Pittsburgh didn't have a first round pick this year because if they did, they absolutely would have screwed it up. But
oh yeah.
So I was actually happy we didn't have a first rounder this year. It worked out well. But I was just saying it's a fun time to have the draft now and we can speculate about everything and then in reality, we're going to have to wait like 4 or 5 months before we actually get to see any of these guys touch the football field.
Yeah, that's if training camp even gets to start on time. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is good. Like you said, it's good that we have this right now because it's going to be the last thing we have until NBA draft got pushed back. And then I know NBA and NHL are both thinking of playing in Florida or Arizona with no fans just to jump right into the playoffs. I read that article today. So we'll see if that can come to fruition. But we'll see. This whole thing is taking a toll on us, the fans of all sports. So, it's going to take time. I consider myself a patient person. So we'll see how long I can.
Person.
And we'll see how long I can consider myself doing that. But, yeah, I hope for the best for the rest of these teams here. Who just got picked? Jalen Hawkins to Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Yeah.
I'd say we'll stay on until pick 135 when Pittsburgh goes, so we can get an immediate reaction there, and then we'll probably sign off after that. But looking at who's best, looking at who's left, who do you think is the best at this point? Like who on the board do you think is the best available player? Maybe not for the Eagles, but just in general. Who do you like the most?
In general, Bryce Hall, cornerback out of Virginia, has really fallen. He was looked at as a high third, late second round pick. He's still on the board. Jake Fromm, we mentioned, is a quarterback who I thought would be gone by now. Isaiah Hodgins and Antonio Gandy Golden are still on the board. 2 great wide receivers, really those big bodies. Alton Robinson is an edge rusher out of Syracuse I really like.
I like Curtis Weaver from Boise State. He's also an edge rusher who's out there.
Yeah. Just a lot of surprises with people I thought would be gone by now. As we enter the middle of the third round here. As far as offensive tackles go, Nick Harris is a guy, offensive lineman in general. Nick Harris is a center guard prospect who I thought would be gone by now. Let's see here. Alex Taylor out of South Carolina is a guy I thought was going to be picked, just the way the tackles and offensive linemen in general were flying off the board. And I guess that's
going to be a run tight end here soon.
Yeah, with surprises. Steelers pick is in. Let's see. I wonder who it is. Curtis Weaver out of Boise State. You mentioned him, a big one. J.R. Reed is a safety out of Georgia I really liked. If the Eagles got him, I wouldn't have been upset. But we have Kevon Wallace now. Who I got one right. I remember in our group chat I was saying I got my mock was going to be 100% right. It's not.
I do remember you asking me about him in the group chat. So I was happy. I'm actually happy that one came through. But
yeah.
I think there's going to be a run tight ends here soon because you got Hunter Bryant still on the board. So is Jared Pinkney. Bryson Hopkins is one of the best tight ends in the class from Purdue. that a small stud. There's only been about 3 or 4 tight ends picked so far. So I'd expect the 4 that I just listed to come off the board very soon. And then it kind of dries up after that. But I think those 4 are head and shoulders above everyone else who's available. And Pittsburgh takes – who is that? Kevin Dotson. Oh, okay, that's all right. I know who that is. Kevin Dotson, guard from Louisiana. That's
oh,
right.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I know him.
I can accept this. This is okay.
I can't wait for the Eagles to take a tight end here and say, oh, we're a tight end factory, and then trade Zach Ertz or some bullshit like that, but we'll see what happens.
Zach Ertz is washed.
Yeah, right. Wentz is washed. The whole Eagles are washed. 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, and they're washed all of a sudden.
Yep.
But,
remember that guy, Dallas Goedert? Washed.
Yeah, washed. In his third year. In his third year, he's already washed. But
Alshon Jeffrey, Alshon Jeffrey's a future Pro Bowler. He's got to stick around.
I like Jeffrey. I'm not going to comment on that. When he's healthy, I don't think there was the whole controversy of whether Jeffrey was like the mole who was talking to Anderson from ESPN complaining about Wentz. I don't think it was Jeffrey. Jeffrey and Wentz hang out. They go to the Sixers games and everything. So I don't think it was him. I think that was all speculation. When Jeffrey's healthy, he's a good wide receiver. He's not like a wide receiver 1 like a DeAndre Hopkins or something like that, but I still think he's good enough to be the second option on a team. So I want Jeffrey to stay around. Maybe restructure his contract if he's willing to do that because he's not worth that money anymore. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting keeping an eye on the Eagles and Steelers moving forward as they've made some controversial and interesting picks during the early days of this NFL draft. So, but for now, we're going to close this out here at the 36-minute mark. So, Mark, anything you want to end this with? Any final comments?
Trust the process, I guess. Eagles fans, we'll see what's going on when training camp rolls around.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. From Mark and myself, hopefully we'll see you later, and good luck.